So let's go on to this next question. Do you have any advice for people, content creation or otherwise?
I think as far as content creation, the advice I usually get, which goes all the way back to the very first question you asked, right? Where it's like, what were my misconceptions? If you're making content, you have to be prepared for the fact that, like, you're going to be screaming into a void, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, do not expect to get anyone to watch. It's going to be a struggle to get anyone to watch your videos. And understand that your videos at first are going to be awful. They always are. My first 100 videos were awful.
My first, like, 5 years are awful.
Yeah, and instead of looking at that as like a challenge to be overcome or something that's like bad that you're going to have to deal with it, look at it from a sense of like, you're free to do whatever you want and experiment with a whole lot of stuff. You can mess up because no one's going to be there to watch you embarrass yourself. You have
That's
the time.
That's still too much of a hurdle, though.
I guess to some people, but if you actually like making videos, right? I guess that's the big thing, is if you like doing something, you're willing to do it even when you're not getting a whole bunch of feedback, and you'll experiment with stuff until you create something good that's worth sharing. Yeah, and I guess that's my oh, sorry, go ahead, I'll let you finish first.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I used to make little flip books, flip animations back in the day before we even had a computer. Like, I've always been making stuff whenever I could. So, like, I enjoy all the parts of the process, but I can see how other people probably wouldn't. I would also say, do you have any advice for people who are successful in YouTube and might develop imposter syndrome? Do you know what imposter syndrome is?
That sounds familiar. I feel like I know the vagaries of it, but go ahead and explain it more in detail.
Someone who's successful in any kind of field feels as if they don't deserve the success, and people are going to find out that they're just a normal person who's not actually worth the attention.
I guess the thing is that, like, I feel like all of us are normal people who maybe don't necessarily deserve attention.
Yeah.
Deserving is one of those things where, like, do the millionaires deserve their millions of dollars?
Heck no.
Probably not. I don't think anyone deserves, like, deserving kind of, the idea that people deserve certain things based on their actions is kind of based on this almost like religious idea. Although a lot of people don't even look at it like that. They just kind of think like, well, the universe will divine out this thing for me because of how I've acted.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, it's just kind of, you just do whatever, man. It's...
Yeah, because, like, in my personal opinion, I don't think people deserve really anything. So, like, being in the imposter syndrome situation seems to come from the fundamental idea that they believe certain people are deserving of certain things based on just a philosophy that they probably have.
Yeah. Like, I personally think, like, obviously that people deserve, like, human rights and stuff.
Yeah, besides human rights.
Treated nicely. But
obviously, those.
Yeah, beyond
like,
that.
Beyond that, yeah.
As far as, like, do you deserve the success? Who cares? You've got success.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares?
Do the
but some
best
people
you
care
can with it.
A lot. Like, they get super upset. It's like, oh no, people are gonna find out I'm a phony. They're gonna know that I don't deserve any of this.
Yeah.
It's like, I wonder just what kind of, because this is a very common thing in, like, the content creation community.
Yeah.
And I don't feel it at all, because I just think, wow, all these people watch me? Neat. I tricked all these people into watching me. Take that, suckers. You guys are watching, you guys are enjoying my content, and I'm not even good at it.
Yeah, I'm trying to put myself in the mindset, because I know there was a time when I was younger where I would have thought in those terms, right?
Uh-huh.
Where, like, I would have been like, oh, you know, this band doesn't deserve their success because they're not making, like, good music or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, you should make music for its own benefit. You make the music you like. Don't worry about if people like it or not. That says more about the mechanisms of society and how fame works and how money moves around than it has to do with the quality of your work.
Yeah, it has to be some kind of, like, philosophy that they just fundamentally believe on a level that they're not even aware of.
Yeah,
what causes them to have the imposter syndrome in the first place.
I'd almost say it's, like, tied to that idea of, like, the American dream. It's like, oh, if you work hard, you can make it. And then people make it, and they're like, I didn't work hard. Oh, no. I must have cheated the system somehow. And it's like, no, the system never true to begin with.
Oh, I think for me, it's just I worked hard, and I still work hard, and I never don't work hard. So it's like, oh, I guess that makes sense. Because there are a lot of content creators I've seen where they work really hard at first, and then once they get a level of success, you know, if they're lucky enough to get that, then they start coasting because they don't want to work that hard all the time.
Yeah.
And I can assume that's probably when the imposter syndrome sits in.
Possibly. There is one thing I had where, not necessarily imposter syndrome, but, so my father is a bricklayer. He's like a mason, right? He literally goes out and, like, builds giant walls and stuff with his bare hands. And he's taken me out to work with him, and it is, like, back-breaking labor.
Yeah, that sounds
like,
hard.
if you've never had to pick up, they call it, I think, a hovel. There's, like, a big metal thing you put on your shoulder. You put, like, 50 bricks on it, then you have to carry it up a ladder one-handed. It's like just going up and down ladders, carrying bricks in the hot sun, like 90-degree weather. It's like, holy. And I've done that.
Like a truck.
He was when he was younger. Now he's got like all sorts of back problems and stuff.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
The back is fragile.
It's one of those things where I remember when I first started doing this full time, and I was sitting down working for like 8, 9, 10 hours at a time, and I started getting back problems myself. And I couldn't help but be like, man, I must be a weakling. Like, I'm not even working for real. Like, I don't have the kind of back problems that he has. Like, sitting doesn't feel like work compared to
bad for you,
actual labor.